Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hardcore Metal Ticketing Radio Show. I'm Derek Asklar. Craig Talley's on the line. I'll be hosting the show tonight. And we're going to kind of have just like open lines tonight for the most part. If you guys have a topic you want to talk about or bring up, feel free to call in at 352-504-4170, and we'll get you put on the air and just like talking on telephone because that's what it is. But Craig, doing just looking through Instagram today, I'm really liking Instagram, guys. For so long I didn't. Change is real hard for me sometimes when it comes to these formats and social media and stuff. And Craig's always jumping right in. And I hadn't really messed with Instagram very much. But, man, I'll tell you what, I meet a lot of people on there that they're making some fantastic finds, Craig. I'm getting jealous, man. These guys overseas and in different countries there, even Ukraine and, the UK and all these places, and looking at these coins they're finding and all these relics. Getting me like, man, I wish I could travel more, just to go around and find some of that cool stuff. But, Peter, he's not on here yet, I don't think, but, I didn't realize he's from New Zealand. So that's kind of even farther than Australia. It's an island off of it, but, it's neat. All this stuff everywhere. Never going to run out of relics, Craig. Never. We're just going to be digging everything. But no, I made a couple of good friends on there already, and I was talking to one fella. He's up there in Maine, and he digs all kinds of buttons and coins and just all this colonial stuff. And asked him, what else are you finding? And he kind of didn't know what to expect. So, are you finding anything older that you can't explain? And he says, I found some stuff that I just don't know what it is. Iron stuff that. It looks older than colonial, stuff like that, but you just never know what you're going to dig out of the ground. And a lot of times we don't know what, how many times have you done it, Craig, dig something I have no idea what it is and find nothing on the internet. And it really relies on the rest of us to help out on these what is it's, we can't know everything.
Well, it's like, nowadays everything's cataloged and, logged into the internet, so you can even search by images. Even
I do that a lot.
But all this stuff that's old, was a lot of it's handmade or crudely made, or a lot of stuff nobody knows. There's no information on them.
Yeah.
It's sometimes it's just a mystery, and you don't know. But and then there's some that you got back marks and all that, and you got there was a guy that put out a book in the 1970, I think, the Albert's Button book, and that book is just a wealth of information. If you're into Civil War and colonial stuff, and even even up into the until about 1970s. They've got just about every kind of, button you can, imagine in there. And, a little bit about a lot of them.
Yeah. They do it with tokens, too, kind of the same thing, Craig. There's a token catalog or something like that we used to have on our forum. I need to find that again and put it up on Facebook. They had a lot of different tokens in there from around the country, really around the world, too. I couldn't find some of mine in there. There's tokens just everywhere it seems like, for these companies, pretty much to buy at the company store kind of thing for the workers. And I know, Craig, you find them up there too, up in Virginia and stuff. I find them down here in Florida. I always liked them because it's stuff that's been forgotten about, really.
I actually found quite a few tokens, like all these toy coins.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are made out of copper even.
Yeah.
And then some are made out of, I even found a penny. It looks just like a penny, only it's smaller. Just barely smaller. So,
I found I was just going to say, the coin size, I find, the Alabama tax tokens, and they're usually like aluminum with a hole punched in them in the center. And I've only ever found an Alabama, it's a 5-cent Alabama tax token. This thing's the size of a half dime. And I found that down. I'd never seen. I've seen them online, but I've never found one down here in Florida. But I find a lot of Alabama. I even found a Nebraska tax token, the same kind of stuff, same kind of material. It just says Nebraska on it. I think I have one from Missouri too that I found down here. They must just carry them around with them or something. I don't know. It's just weird to find them I find them in the farm fields a lot. I don't know if maybe, I don't know, not farmers, but like migrant workers, you think? I mean, they've had people picking stuff down here for, forever. I have traces of that all the way back to the 1800s, or late 1800s and everything. Some of these towns and stuff had a lot of orange groves and everything else, and they have these. It must be where they're coming from, really. I can't imagine people. Well, the Alabama ones are not that far off, but like Nebraska, I mean, really. So, find a lot of those. I think they have as much character as the coins do, if not more. I mean, I know they're not worth as much, but I guess they can be. I mean, I've just never gone for the actual physical value of something, but to me, they have a lot of character to them, and it's kind of like the button thing. You find all these, eagle buttons and cuff buttons, and all these buttons. I have no idea what they are because I've just never had a chance to dig any of them. I dug that dandy up there in Pennsylvania when I was hunting with you, and a couple just regular old flat buttons and stuff like that. It's always neat. I mean, you kind of want to say they're bucket list items, but really everything's a bucket list item to me. If I don't have one of them, that's a bucket list item. Sometimes you don't even know what you're digging, and you're going to call it a bucket list. But even the pocket knife and stuff I dig, that up there is real ornate, and it's 1700s. I didn't even know they had. Well, at least that's what George said it was. I mean, it was that copper, brass, or whatever handle on it. Everything else is rusted out. I'll have to put a picture of that online, but it just looks old. And I just didn't know they had folding knives, that far back like that. But, you seem to come across this, the padlocks and everything else. All this stuff is relics. All this stuff is collectible kind of thing. Padlocks are real big. I mean, I have some from the 1800s I've dug down here. And they're, I don't know, just kind of, there's some class to them, the way they used to make them. I think it was a lot more handmade stuff, I think, too. The padlocks and stuff, I don't know how they made them back then, but I mean, it looks more or less handmade, pressed together and stuff. You find those up there in Virginia at all, or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't know. I just never seen you with a picture of one. So I didn't know if you ever dug one or not.
I found a lot of, like those railroad locks along the, down there near the trenches I took you to over the years.
Okay.
Trying to think where else.
Well, those railroad ones are collectible.
I found a brass lock in the yard, a little tiny one. I think it's got a name on it. I can't remember the name. But I've found quite a few locks. Some of them, from the Civil War, they're, not in very good shape. They kind of crumble and stuff. But every once in a while, you'll find one, a good one from that era too. But most of them are going to be iron. But
they can be bright. I mean, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to walk on you. We're doing that walk-on thing.
I'd like to find the keys to them.
That's weird. You never seem to find a lot of keys. I mean, keys are something I don't find a lot of. I mean, I find more grandfather clock and I don't know what the grandmother clock keys than I do anything else. I don't find actual keys. You would think I'd find bunches of them. Hunting around, once in a while around a gate or something, you get a gate key, but they're not anything real old. But I'll find padlocks the weirdest places.
I like the skeleton keys, but I've probably only found about 20 of them over the years. That they just, you just don't find them that often.
No, I found a couple too. That's about it.
Sometimes you'll find them; they'll be broken.
Mm-hmm.
But,
those little grandmother clocks or whatever, there's the smaller clocks. I find a lot of those. And I don't know why. I mean, and I find gears to everything. Little, alarm clocks or whatever they are, pocket watches. I find the gears everywhere. I found one place it was like a gear spill. I mean, there was just little gears everywhere. It was a mess to try to detect because they were so small. But I don't know if it was like I guess it could have been a small, like a clock they'd sit on a mantle or something like that. that just rotted away. But all these little gears, always thought, I didn't know if there was anybody that collects those. I mean, he collected everything else. A lot of these, watchmaking or working on watches, Craig, that's pretty much like a really dying art kind of thing, and has been for quite a while. I guess I could look that up too. I mean, a lot of us find old pocket watches and stuff, and those, if they happen to be good still, the insides got sealed up pretty good, and then you get a lot of moisture in them. I don't know if they can reuse the little springs and stuff like that. These guys that fix watches, these antique watches. There's one fellow that was going around. We had a yard sale. This has been a couple of years ago, and he was asking me about old pocket watches or old pocket. He didn't care if they worked or not. He needed the little springs and gears out of them to fix other watches. And it's kind of like he was saying back then, it's like a dying art because everybody's using digital now, or cell phones or whatever.
My brother made these kind of clocks you put up on a mantle and stuff, when he was a kid. And then he started, I guess in his 20s, he started making his own watches. And he made me one. He said he could make me one, replica Rolex, which one do I want? I said, I want that oyster chronometer one.
Yeah.
He made this one. I mean, it looks like a $25,000 watch, And I was wearing it one time, and this guy goes, "Oh my God, is that real?" And I go, "Yeah, man." I said, "I'll sell it to you for $10,000." And he goes, "Really?" And I go, "Nah, it isn't real." I said, my brother made it for $100 worth of parts, but.
Well, that's happened to a couple people that I know too, Craig. This stuff we don't know, we think it's bling. I mean, it happened to a good friend of mine, Tony. I hunted with him all the time, and he said, he was hunting with somebody else over on the East Coast, and the guy got in the car, and Tony had this gold chain. He thought it was bling. I mean, he said it looked so fake it wasn't funny, and he had it hanging on the around the gear shift on his car, and of course, this other guy's metal technically goes, "Oh my God, where'd you get that at?" He says, "Oh, I found that out there on the beach a couple weeks ago." He goes, "Oh, you just leave it in your car like that?" He goes, "Well, it's fake, man. It's bling. I just hung it right there." He goes, I don't think it's fake." And Tony's been hunting for, well, God, he has to be pushing 50 years now. I mean, he's done doing this for a long time. Back in the day where he used to dig $80 or $90 and change off the beach every weekend. So it's been a while. But he goes, "Oh, no, that's junk." He goes, "Oh, no, there's a pawn shop right there. Let's go stop in." And Tony's like, "Okay, fine. Well, we're going to grab lunch anyways," and goes in there, and it turned out to be worth $2,500. A damn gold chain.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it was real. I mean, you come across some of these that are gold dipped and stuff. I got fooled by that one time. It looked like it was gold, Craig. I mean, it looked like it had the old-fashioned, like 1800s latch on it and everything. I'm like, oh my God, this thing is 18 karat gold is what it says on here. It was 18 karat gold dipped. They just actually dipped the chain in molten gold and just let it stick on there, I guess is what they do. It's like a heavy coating. And, it just wasn't worth, I mean, nostalgic-wise, relic-wise, it was probably worth a lot. I still have it, but, as far as selling it or whatever, because I don't keep a lot of jewelry unless it's old jewelry, I mean, that kind of thing. I find bling or something on it, or not bling, but just, broken rings, whatever, on the beach. I just take them for scrap. I'm not really interested in them, no. Craig, you gave Pauline that one ring from you said it was Colonial, or that one with the orange stone in it. I can't remember.
I don't know. It was silver. It was near that. It was near, Colonial area, right along the creek there, and it was near that Bliss Tool. I call it the Bliss Tool house site, and it was where I tested the Bliss Tool all the time when I first got it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like an area that just was so full of trash, it was unbelievable. But there was a house site there, and I think I only found one coin. Was it one coin? Yeah, I think I found one coin, and it was a wiped King George.
Yeah.
But there was a little, I don't know, like a little cinder block foundation just down the hill from it, and I went down, hunted around that, and it looked like a huge front yard, but I mean, it was in the middle of the woods near this creek, and big swamp, and up further, we found a house site where that's the one where Steve found. I think it was like 9 large scents in one hole.
Jeez.
And Mike Kelly found and he found 2 1820 large scents when he first walked in, and I had nothing. and so when they left, they decided it was almost getting dark. So I said, "Well, I'm gonna stick around until it's dark and keep hunting." And so I went over to check the hole, and I found a 1777 half real in the hole where he dug all the large scents.
Ah, you missed it. That's always good. That's bragging rights right there. I mean, you didn't even know you had another target in there. I like doing that. It's happened to me a couple times.
Where I found that ring, I found another ring right next to it, but it was broken into 3 pieces.
Yeah, weird.
It was, I don't know what the deal was on there.
I could have got beat up. He said it was right along the stream or whatever. I think got beat up by the rocks or something like that. But
that was a handmade ring. It was
Oh yeah, I still got it in the case right there. Pauline said, "Well, put that on your showcase right there. That's a gift from Craig." I said, "I got it right next to the breastplate that he gave me, the fake one, whatever, the copy." I said, "Well, that's the only breastplate I've found so far, and I found it from my friend." It's nice to be able to do that. I mean, Craig, really, I don't have anything down here that Craig really hasn't found up there. But I was down here testing machines and stuff, and I first, met Craig on the, I think it was the UK forum, Blissful UK forum, and we started talking and everything. So, man, I'm trying to do some testing and everything. Well, let me send you some stuff. Like a couple days later, I get a box with a couple 69 caliber mini balls and 58 caliber and a Williams cleaner and stuff, and I was able to start doing some testing, with the actual Civil War bullets and stuff like that. And I thought that was the neatest thing, just giving, we talk about it sometimes, just giving a landowner, if you find something, like a bullet or something, if you have a bunch of them, you really don't need another. But they treasure it. It's like, oh my God, that's from this property. Oh my goodness, they'll keep it to show everybody, when they family, friends, stuff like that.
Well, it's like a neighbor I'd known for years, and they were getting ready to move, and he was in the Foreign Service for many years in Africa mostly, and so his property was right next to there was an alley that went right along the side of the Masonic Temple's property, and probably about 100 yards away was the fort, but his property was on the edge of a hill that was, on the other side of the street. It went straight down pretty much.
Yeah.
And so he had a small lot. It was like 2 lots, but it's not like my house where I got each lot's a quarter of an acre. But anyway, he had this big side lot, and he was selling it to somebody, and then he was selling the house.
Right.
And so anyway, he said, "You think there's anything in that side lot?" And I said, "Have you ever let anybody metal detect it?" And he goes, "No, and I've lived here 30 years." So I said, "There's probably stuff there." So he said, "Well, if you find anything, I was hoping, maybe you could find some bullets or something, And I said, "Well, I think that's probably,
probably doable.
I'll probably, find those, more than I would anything else, maybe." And so, I was telling him how, I found a lot in my yard, and I'm just, block and a half, not even about a block away, not even really that. And so I said, and then further over in the neighborhood, my friend Mike's found a bunch of bullets, the main button over there. There was, another neighbor I found. It was a modern house, but the yard was still, the original dirt. And I found like 30 bullets in about half an hour in the yard.
Jeez, God.
You know, so
Yep.
you know, and then nothing after that. You know. Oh, and I got the top of a canteen, the spout.
Yeah, I remember that one. I
Yeah.
remember you showed that on Facebook or something like that at one time.
Yeah. But
Excuse
but
me.
anyway, I go in his yard. I dug close to 50 bullets. You know, and I didn't get very many buttons. I think I got a flat button and an eagle button. But I got a bunch of coins. I got about 35 coins. I got the first day I got 10 silver coins. I think I got one barber dime. The rest were mercuries, I think, and one silver quarter, and then I got a couple Indian heads, a few wheat pennies. But anyway, he comes out, you know, after maybe about I don't know, half an hour or so, and I already had a whole pouch full of bullets. So he comes over and he goes, "Did you find anything?" And I said, so I open up my pouch and I go, "Oh, I got a few bullets here." And his eyes almost popped out of his head. I mean, the look on his face was like total shock. You know, and he goes, "Is there any way I could have a few of those?" And I go, "Oh yeah, sure." I said, "You know, when I finish, I'll make you up a little box, you know, and bring it back." And so I didn't know it. He'd gone over to my house and given my mom a big stack of silver coins.
Oh, jeez.
And set it on the arm of my chair. And so I went home, you know, and I got like 50 bullets. At the time when when he was there, I got about 35. And I got about 15 more, and I got a few more the next day. But anyway, I have these little showcase boxes, you know, that are made out of like cardboard with the glass in it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I put a bunch of bullets in. I even gave him a couple extra eagle buttons, you know, just to, you know, that I didn't dig there, but, you know.
Right. Yeah,
and, you know, he said he didn't want the coins. He just wanted, you know, bullets and stuff. So I made a box, you know, and went over to his house and, you know, so, I show him his case of them, you know, and oh my God, he was going crazy because, you know, I actually put him in a case. You know, he was thinking I was just going to hand him a pile of bullets, you know.
Right.
And here's this nice display case, you know, with, you know, all these bullets and stuff from his yard. Oh, I even put a piece of tape on it and wrote his street address on it.
Yeah. Those things are neat. I like those cardboard, you know, we call them it is cardboard, but the black ones with the glass fronts on them or plastic fronts on them for display cases. Those are really nice to hand out to people, you know, like, well, you did that with like the little breastplate and stuff like that. You put it in one of those in the ring. And I started buying those too. They're relatively cheap. You can get them off, I think, well, I'm sure that somebody's website has them, but I mean, I know you can get them off of eBay and stuff. But they're really nice when you go to these hunts. You know, you got a lot of you all go to the DIV or the CWPPO hunts or whatever to be able to display what you found, even though you may, you know, depending on the situation, you may have to give it back to them. But it's nice to be able to display it in that or whatever, or, you know, just to have it to keep them protected because one of the things I see, and Craig, we've all seen it. Most of us that have been relic hunting for a while carry some kind of a pill bottle or something along those lines with cotton in it. We find a button or a nice coin or anything that we're afraid is going to get dinged up. We'll put it in there and then, you know, put a cotton ball over top of it and then find the next find, put that on there. But you don't want to throw these things in a fine bag, a pouch with a bunch of nails and canned slaw and everything else because, you know, you'll damage these items. And I cringe every time I see somebody do that. I mean, a lot of us have had it happen, so that's why we use a little case separate from our fine bag to put these nicer, what we think are nicer finds or whatever, if we're not sure about them. That way we don't damage them because, you know, I've seen buttons literally disintegrate in people's hands. There happened to one of the ladies in our group. Oh, go ahead, Greg.
Over time, especially like in mineralized ground and, you know, 2-piece buttons, 3-piece buttons, they'll just, you know, they'll it's like they get paper thin almost, and they just almost turn to dust.
Yeah, she rubbed her finger over up. She had an eagle button, the domed ones or whatever, and she rubbed just to rub some of the dirt off of it. Didn't do it very hard, and it just collapsed. I'm like, oh my god. She's like, oh my god, that was my first eagle button I ever found. I'm like, oh my god, I just watched you do it. It just made me almost want to cry. That was the first find. Just it's kind of like trying to fix something that's. You find these old baby spoons and stuff like these real ornate spoons, and it seems like they're always bent. Don't try to bend them back. Be very gentle, because I've snapped my fair share of them doing. Now I don't even mess with them. I said it just adds to the character of it, and I leave it alone, because the brass gets so brittle, or copper, whatever is made out of it, it gets brittle over 200 years of sitting in the ground or whatever. Especially down here in Florida, it bakes it down here so bad. I think that's why our silver coins, at least inland, I've not found really any silver coins that are really tarnished. I mean, they got a patina on them, but I know when you find them, Craig, sometimes they're just covered. And it must be the sandy soil or something like that. It doesn't do it as bad. Like the pennies and stuff are not as bad either. V nickels are quite too bad. So
I don't know. The one coin that I found that was really black was that 1858 Canadian dime. I found the trenches, and I got that thing down over a foot deep, and it was down in a swampy area along this pathway that everybody had hunted for years. That's kind of like when you came into that area, you were swinging along that pathway.
Right.
And, so, I was like really surprised when I got the signal, and it was a clear, repeatable, stop you in a track signal,
Yep.
When I got it. And it was down in the clay, but it was also, it was really wet right in that area. The ground was like super wet. And I think maybe the wetness maybe of added tarnish or something to the coin, but it was really tough to get that blackness off. It was almost crusted on. It was so thick.
Yeah, you get some weird ones up there. I've seen it. Well, even when we were digging up, I found it was in Tennessee. I found a little silver coin. It wasn't. I think it was a mercury or something. But it was just really, really crudded up pretty bad. And other ones, but I dig them down here, and they're like, you pull them out of the ground, and you just knock the dirt off them. It's almost like, I mean, you could tell it was dug, but it's not near as tarnished as the ones I see people dig on, in some of these states. I mean, not all of them are bad, but I mean, it's nice when they come out like that, so you don't have to clean on them. They just have that little patina on them.
When we water hunted in the creeks off the Potomac, the silver coins would come out black, just really tarnished. I remember this one Real. It took me almost 3 weeks of, this. I used a different type of electrolysis. This was years ago, and to get it, it was all beat up because it'd been right between this lagoon and this creek, and when the tide came in, it was just swirling in all this rocks and stuff. 1755, but anyway, that coin was really bad. But I dug large cents and Indian heads, and they were like brand new. I mean, they were just shiny. It was crazy. I dug a 1864. Wasn't a fatty. It was that year they made. I think they made both. But that coin was just, you would have thought, yeah, right, you dug that, huh? Like, it just came out perfect.
Yeah. Some of them come out really, and down here too. I dig a lot of some of these sites I have. I haven't even been out to in a while. I've been hunting this Tollbridge property so much, and I know that I'm going to get into some at least stuff in the 1920s. I already found a wheat penny from the 20s, but I know there's older stuff there. But some of these other sites I have around, it's so doggone hot here, Craig. I mean, I don't mind some sweating a little bit. But man, 100 and some odd degree heat index, and then these thunderstorms coming through. It's just a crappy time of year to try to hunt. Do any kind of length of time hunting. I still do it. I mean, it's just hardcore, all the way. For different reasons. Either it's like up north hunting in the snow, But I mean, I know you guys have a lot of the heat too. It just down here, it literally started raining. The ground was steaming. That's how it was, like a sauna out here. I'm like, God, I hate hunting in that. Might as well be hunting in the rain.
Yeah, we had 3 days in a row of 96 to 98 degrees with just steaming, and it would like thunderstorm for like a half an hour. It would be like, fairly
just enough to warm everything up.
Go black, and then I'd start getting alerts on my phone that there's lightning strikes, one within a mile, one within 5 miles, and I'm like, oh my God, get away from me.
It's been so bad down here, Craig, that literally when I watched, we were at the VFW post and getting things some set up for a little luncheon thing or whatever for somebody, and it started raining, and then it started lightning, and the lightning was just popping, bang, 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 one after another. I'm like, what the hell? That's just crazy lightning. Usually, we get a lot of lightning down here in Florida. It was just way above the norm as far as the amount of strikes. Well, that TV came back on. We have satellite over there. It came back on, and they were showing the weather. Where the lightning strikes were across the county. From like Tampa to Orlando, and then over to where we're at. The whole board was covered, Craig. It was just, I've never seen a board so full of strikes, and they were just one after another. Matter of fact, the one of our members lives across the street from the post there. He came over later. He goes, well, I just lost my television. I lost, the strike was so close. We knew it was because it was just flash bang, just that fast, and it burned his television set up, and he had surge protectors on things. It happened to one of the bartenders too. It wasn't even 6 months ago. She lost all of her washing machine, dryer, stove, refrigerator. It hit real close, and it just sent straight power into the house, I guess, or something. And she had to have all that fixed. Even the ceiling fans went out. That's how bad it was. And just like these storms are just this heat lightning. I watched one strike. I was sitting outside underneath the carport when it was starting to rain, and watched the lightning struck in two spots at one. They were separated maybe 2 or 3 blocks, space wise, but it was the same lightning bolt. It like split up and came down and hit. And I was like, what the heck? I caught it, peripheral vision caught both strikes. And like that, this is some weird lightning, and it seemed awful low. I don't know. Just be careful, guys. Down here in Florida, it can be a blue sunshiny day, and I've seen, heard of people getting struck, and it happened when me and Pauline were down there in Madeira Beach. I was doing some metal detecting and all that, and we'd stop by this one restaurant. I think it was a Cuban restaurant or something like that, having a neat lunch and everything. And a storm came through, and lightning was going every which way. And it turns out somebody not even 2 miles away got struck just running back to his house because he got caught in the rain. And he said it wasn't even any clouds over top of him. And it killed him dead. I mean, the neighbor saw it happen. I'm like, man, that's just crazy. You don't expect to be running around in a rainstorm, but when you say, clear blue skies and all of a sudden you get hit, that's nuts. And we're sitting out here in the pasture with the metal detecting. I'm judging where the clouds are and going, okay, do I really want to be standing in the middle of a 400-acre field or whatever, or even a 100-acre field? I'm the tallest thing around. I'm using a metal detector. Yeah, that's not a good idea. It's like fishing like that.
Well, yesterday the high was 78, and today was 82 after having like 98 the day before.
Right.
But in the morning, it was yesterday in the morning. It was 54 degrees.
God, that's beautiful, brother. That's beautiful weather right there. I like that.
I went out about I guess about 6:30, just walk around the yard. It was probably 58. It's like, God, my arms were like, and there's no humidity. There was just blue sky, not a cloud in the sky for 2 days now. And it was nice because it's been kind of, the ground's been, even though we've been getting these rainstorms, it's like ground's kind of hard almost, and so with the rain,
No, we're getting
a
pounded
little bit
every day.
cooler. I went out yesterday and I've been testing the new program I've been using in the Equinox, see if I can get some more stuff. And I'd had good luck with running it wide open when I first got it, and so I went back to that, and I went to recovery speed of 4, which is very low.
Yeah.
Gives you more depth, and but you can't swing it really, fast. You got to go you got to kind of creep along, and overlap pretty good to, get depth. But
well, it has to come back to send that signal back. That's the thing. It sounds dumb, but you got to recover the signal so it knows what's there. If you go too fast, and you miss a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but I was using Park 2, and then I was what was I was doing something. Oh yeah, I went 50 tone. But anyway, there was an area in my yard where I dug what I thought was a Virginia staff button, but it turned out to be a Fishburne high school button, military school button, and I even a relic hunter identified it and said his father had actually gone to that school and or graduated from it, but I think it closed in like something like 1959 or 60 or something around there or something.
That's kind of neat. Got some history for it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think it started in 1879, but anyway, I'd hunted the heck out of that area, and I found a couple things with the B3 bliss tool when I first got in the yard there, but there's just like a blanket of nails all over the place in that area.
Yeah.
And just, I've never really pulled much out of there. And so I get this signal, and first signal I got it was a 3. Was it a 3? No, it was a 5. And like a 15 is a nickel on the Equinox. So, most people would not dig a 5.
No.
I've heard most people say they won't go below 11 on a button or something. I've dug buttons as low as 5, as low as I think 3, and I know I've dug one at 5 before. So, little tiny pewter button or tomback, it's a. But anyway, I dug down, and it was a piece of lead, a little triangle piece of lead. It's definitely worked, and in the back of it, it looks like it had 2 attachments on it, but
right.
I don't see any writing or anything on it. And I think I dug 2 nails out of the hole too, and then like maybe I closed the hole up, fact that so then I started swinging again, and about maybe 8 or 10 inches away, I got another signal, and it was fairly loud, and I could hear iron all around it, and it was hitting 14, sometimes 13, 14, but mostly 14 in both directions. So, and it was, really nice, repeatable signal, low. So I dig down about maybe 4 inches. It's a tomback button.
Oh, yeah, you had that posted up on Facebook, didn't you, or on Instagram? One of the two.
Yeah, so, I kept pulling nail after nail after nail out of that hole, and they were all underneath of it. Even pulled 2 pieces of glass. So I think what had happened, that area had been turned over at one time.
Yeah, it could have been.
So I think that part of the yard, like my neighbor right behind me said, off to the right of where I was digging, closer to the alley, was where the spring was. And when it rains, really hard, there's like a little hole or something that just this one area where the water just gushes out of the neighbor's yard, straight right across the edge of my yard and into the alley. And there was a pond the other day in this guy's yard behind me. It was unbelievable. I mean, normally he has like a little waterway that goes through there, and it might be sometimes 5 feet across. This thing was like 25 feet across.
Take a boat out of it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been having these drenching storms, so I think part of it, the ground, getting wetter, was bringing out the signals, definitely.
Yep.
But I've been, usually what I do is, like today, I went in the front yard and used the same program to see if I could pull anything out of there. And I got what I think is a melted bullet down about 10 inches deep. And it kept ringing like, it was weird. It would ring up sometimes as high as 21, 22, but then sometimes it was giving me a 5. But then when I would pinpoint it, it would show 17, which is what a bullet usually reads.
Right.
And so I dug down about 10 inches, and I got this melted, elongated thing. It looks like, it's the same patina as a Civil War bullet. So I'm guessing it's just a melted bullet.
Yeah.
And I've dug 3 or 4 or 5 in the yard that were melted. I think the second one I ever dug was in the front yard, was melted.
It just always, it's funny, Craig, the lead bullets and stuff. It's incredible the amount. I don't know about everybody else. I see a lot of people digging lead. I dig a lot of lead, in the middle of fields and stuff, and it's just fireside art, whatever you want to call it. I mean, some of this stuff is an elbow deep in the ground and stuff, and some chunks are. Well, I found one chunk last year that it probably weighs 20 pounds, chunk of lead, just out in the middle of. If anything else, we're cleaning up in the environment a hell of a lot because there's a lot of lead in the ground. I mean, just between the bullets and modern bullets, old bullets. If I don't dig 10 bullets every time I go out of some kind, it's something wrong. I mean, it seems like, at least down here. Well, I do it up north, too. When I go out hunting up there, it just seems like, they talk about, what do we do? We clean up the environment pretty good anyways. We're getting the lead and the copper and the brass and all that stuff out of the ground. Anything that could hurt you. But.
Yeah. I got one signal yesterday, in that same area that I thought was probably going to be iron, but it was just hitting so hard, and it turned out to be one of those smaller railroad spikes.
Yeah.
I've dug probably about 30 at least of those things in the yard.
I'm sure they're masking up a lot of stuff in your yard, and for sure you have a lot of iron in there, but it seems like every time you start pulling that iron out of there, like you pull that chisel out and a couple of railroad spikes and this and that, and all of a sudden the next time you go out, you'll start finding more stuff. It just all masked up in there. It's hard to tell with these detectors can't go through a railroad spike to see a coin underneath it or anything. It seems like you've had pretty good luck with getting that stuff, your yard cleaned up a lot better. I mean, you've been hunting it for what, over a year now, right?
2 years.
2 years, yeah. It's only not even quite an acre. And it's just amazing that, there are people have places like this. And, I had a friend of mine, he'd been detecting for a little while, at any rate, and I already did my yard. I said, go back over to your yard again. I know you missed stuff. I mean, if you're finding old stuff there anyways, it's a lot of junk in your yard. My yard is like a war zone. I mean, I got all this stuff, just, nails and this and that. And, you dig them out of the ground. It's really tough, but I have found, V nickels. I found a Walking Liberty quarter. Found some, Seminole Indian bullets. The musket balls. Yeah, there's good stuff in my yard, and I it's so trashy, and it's just because they had a bottle dump here and this and that, and it wasn't real old. This is probably like in the late '60s, early '70s, but there used to be a stagecoach road that went right down my property line. And the neighbor on the other side, well, he's passed away a long time ago. The other neighbor bought the property. He said he was digging refrigerator doors out of the ground, garden hoses, just whatever. This guy just like the old man that passed. He was there's scrap piles back there. I mean, I found silverware and everything. I just like he dumped everything. So I got to deal with that kind of nightmare along that property line. But I know there was a stagecoach road there too, so it's a battle to find the good stuff. But it's there. Most people can dig your yard, especially if you have an older home or something like that. Spend a lot of time there, and you can hunt it over and over again and still find stuff. It just the good finds far and few between. But Craig's still pulling out, with Tomback buttons and this and that, bullets and breastplates, and it's just kind of neat the way your yard is, Craig. Your Alexandria house is the same way. I went up there and found stuff in Craig's yard, and Craig's beat the crap out of that yard for 20 years or whatever.
Yeah, I remember when, I didn't realize, when I first started metal detecting, I started finding bullets in my yard, I couldn't believe it, the first one I found. And then I started thinking, well, there's a fort over there, and right behind that thing. And then after I started reading some books, I found out there was 150,000 troops that visited the top of that hill over the course of the war, and that was one of the first forts that was built.
Right.
And it was built for the first martyr of the Civil War, Colonel Ellsworth, who got shot stealing a Confederate flag out of this guy's tavern, and when they invaded Alexandria.
Right.
But neighbors would go, what do you mean you find it? They'd see me digging in the yard. They go, what are you looking for? And I go, I'm looking for Civil War bullets and coins and stuff. And they go, Civil War bullets? There's no battles around here, were there? And I go, nah.
Battles everywhere. Or camp here. Yeah, well, activity.
And I said, what do you mean? I said, well, I don't know if you know, but Alexandria was the first city invaded during the Civil War,
Mm-hmm.
And they go, what do you mean it was invaded? And I said, that's kind of what started the war. They came across the river and, took over the city, and that fort's named after the colonel that was killed. And he actually had gone to Chicago and New York City and recruited firemen and into regiments, and they called them the Fire Zouaves. They wore these French Foreign Legion uniforms with ball buttons. And they had,
I didn't know that.
Had like blue. Yeah, they had I think blue pantaloons, and they had like stockings, and they had these vests, like red vests, and they had like this little kind of Johnny hat, and it was the uniform that the French Foreign Legion wore, in Africa and stuff. And I think it was during the first battle of Bull Run. All these Zouave troops start, marching up, and this general looks around and goes, "Who are all you people? Are you clowns?"
Yeah, they didn't look right for the times, that's for sure. I didn't know that story, Craig. I'd never heard of that. The Zouaves. There you go.
But they all had S&Y belt buckles, state of New York belt buckles on. So I wonder if the first one I found didn't come from maybe one of them because it was such a early war spot. The second one I know came from the 12th New York.
Mm-hmm.
Because I found 2 12th New York buttons there, but it's kind of interesting that a lot of the uniforms that they started this thing. It was like they started all these militia groups in each state. They became almost like a social group, and everybody had their own uniforms they made up with the buttons and the swords and everything like that.
Right.
So when the war broke out, those guys wore those outfits or uniforms into the war, on both sides. And,
it's a whole other realm of Civil War hunting right there. The relics. I mean, Well, you see, like, these company letters and the main buttons and this and that and the other thing. I mean, these Zuha, whatever is it? Do they have? Have you ever found anything that related directly to them? I just thought it was neat.
Oh,
I never heard that story before about them. How they got started.
A lot of these New York camps, you'd find these ball buttons, and they definitely came from those uniforms. So they were Zouave, uniforms.
Yeah, you get to dig all the cool stuff up there. Jeez.
Yeah, I don't know if I found any ball. Steve found one, or maybe it was Roy found one kind of across the street on the other block where the cabin was, and they were bulldozing that whole area. And the vice mayor and Roy and Steve went over there, and were collecting stuff for the town's display. That's where he got that. What was it? The breastplate. It was a Burnside breastplate, a smaller one.
Mm-hmm.
They're more rare. It didn't have the brass piece on it. This was the lead.
Right.
But there was a ball button that was laying right on the ground.
Jeez.
When they were bulldozing. So I said, "That's a Zouave button." Guys, it's also called a ball button. I said, "Yeah, I always called them Zouave buttons myself, but some of them are big, and those were usually a lot of them are small too. But if you looked at those jackets, a lot of them had a lot of buttons on them.
Yeah.
They were kind of fancy, they weren't they were kind of dress uniforms that these guys were wearing instead of, battle uniforms, where you're going to get dirty,
Yeah. Yeah, we've been posting, I've been seeing a lot of, sorry about that, guys, Yahoo on a motorcycle. I don't know if you can hear that over the phone or not, Craig. This microphone picks up some stuff. But no, I was going to say that, I was looking at the Instagram. We started up that Hardcore Metal Detecting Instagram page or whatever. And, people have been following us and we've been following them and just checking out all the little relics and coins and stuff everybody's finding from, really not just the U.S., all over, all around the world or whatever. And I'm like, all these places I want to go, Oh, shoot.
Yeah, I've been using, I had an Instagram account, but I really hadn't done anything with it. And then about a year and a half ago, I was kind of getting upset with YouTube and Facebook, so I thought, I'd look on Instagram, and I got kind of hooked on it and started just posting all the time. And I think I'm up over 1,060 some followers or something, but it's pretty cool. You got people from all over the world. They're showing photos, and
right.
Basically that's what it is: photos and videos, and some of it's advertising and things like that. But there's every kind of subject you can imagine. You can photograph it.
I tried to. I was going to try to make a video of something, and I can't remember what I was trying to video. Some kind of critter running across the yard, or just it didn't really deal with metal detecting, but I was trying to figure out how to record directly to there, whether I had to record it to my phone and then send it, or how many seconds it had to be, or I'm still figuring that stuff out. I'm used to the way you do it on Facebook or whatever. So that's why Craig's been doing a lot more than me.
If the video is too long, it'll just cut off.
Does it have to be like a minute or two, Craig, or is it
Well, they have an Instagram TV also,
right,
which is separate. And when they launched that, which was about a year ago, everybody was kind of excited about it, but it just, it took off at the beginning, but then it just gutted. It's just,
I kind of like the short videos. Those are, because they'll come up when I go down through there, and sometimes they'll just start playing from somebody, whoever did it. And it's like, it's not very long, but it got the point across, whatever they were trying to show. I don't even have to turn the sound on most of the time. And there was one about, I don't know, it was weird type whale or something like that. They saw just a little burp kind of thing.
I think the reason it doesn't work as far as video is because it's in portrait mode. You can't do it.
Okay. But you can download from your phone, can't you? like if I took a little video, like, I don't know, a 2-minute video, I can just
Oh yeah.
share that from my phone itself and right onto Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Is that how? Okay. Well, I wasn't sure because,
Yeah,
if I put something on Facebook, I have to put it on YouTube first
Well,
and get the URL and all that
like-
crap, So
Well, like Bethany showed me how to do the share from my page to Instagram itself. On the Hardcore Metal Detecting radio page
right.
on Instagram, so I can share stuff from my library now, to that one.
Good.
So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I got a couple photos of you with the new detector shaft on the Equinox. There was one that you were staring at. You took a selfie or something like that. I downloaded it. I was going to make a meme out of it, something like that. I haven't figured out what I'm going to say on it. Share it around Craig Talley memes. But yeah, it's I've seen. I still use Facebook. I mean, I'm just not. If somebody wants friend request thing, I always answer those and like videos and everything else. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. But I mean, I was just impressed with how easy it was to navigate Instagram for me anyway. And I'm not one of these people that really, when something new comes, I'm not like right on the bandwagon. I have to get my mind wrapped around what it's doing and everything as far as the computer goes. And Craig's always been more of a tech guy when it comes to these different formats and stuff like that. He'll jump right on. I don't know, Craig. I get so used to something, I just don't like it to change. Like I was trying to upload something to YouTube for Patreon, and it's like, oh my God, they changed this thing again. I got to do this, and this now. It's just, why don't they just, why do they have to fix something until they break it? It was aggravating
No.
for me. It's like, dang it. But
that's why I like Apple, because when they do an update, you don't have to do anything but update. Hit the button and everything's update.
I cringe now. I have a
Your
message
update
on,
is finished.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And they do it on a schedule. Like when they update their operating system, it's like once a year, but they'll do like little fixes in between. But
I get nervous
what
about them though, Craig.
Yeah,
I hate because like Skype, when I was having all those problems, every time I updated or whatever, a new version came out, I was screwed up on the show for 3 weeks trying to figure out what the heck they changed on it. And now I got one on Spreaker right now. It says a new update is available. Please restart the app to get your latest version. And it's right on my soundboard. I'm like, well, I'm not messing with that before the show. I know how that played out in the past. I messed with something before the show, and then it screwed up for 2 weeks. So I'll wait until tonight and do it. And well, we got a show tomorrow morning, so I may not do nothing until after tomorrow afternoon. I don't mind change, but I just, if something is working fine, like iMovie, I was on there and they've made a lot of change on it.
There's an old adage: if it isn't broken, don't fix it.
I got one to go along with that. If it ain't broke, don't fix it until it is. And that's what I feel like they do sometimes. They fix it, fix on it until they break it. But all this stuff.
Fix it immediately.
Yeah. Well, it's the whole Patreon thing, and we have the Patreon page. It's patreon.com/hardcore metal detecting. It's something Craig and I started up with a lot of help from my daughter. She's real good with computers and stuff, and we're just kind of doing something a little bit different and trying to offer stuff. And I was telling she was saying we got to do a monthly newsletter and stuff like that. But they have templates, so now I'm learning how to put the templates on there to make it a little bit easier for Craig and I to, cut and paste and do whatever we're going to do with that, for our supporters and stuff on Patreon, and make sure we get it right. So I think I told Peter and Loy and stuff. I said, give me a break for the first month or so. I have to figure out how everything's working right. But thank God for Bethany, because man, I tell you what, she, Craig can call her, I can call her. And she's real good about the websites and forums and Facebook pages. She's all up on all that stuff. And, she was what she went to school for. So, she puts it to work. But she understands coding and all this stuff that I'll never even try to wrap my mind around, because it's not fun. And I don't like to do stuff that's not fun. So I'm kind of spoiled that way. I told her, she goes, what do you want to do? I said, I want to go to Metal Detect, and that's what I want to do. I want to go to every state, and I want to go to all my bucket list places that I want to go metal detecting overseas and everything, and I'll do it someday, but you got to, start somewhere, and this hobby will drag you in so many, and it drags you in a happy way to so many different other aspects of the hobby, photography and videoing and, the radio show and this and that. It just kind of, you find yourself getting interested in other things very easily to deal with metal detecting and researching and everything else. And that's one thing that's always kept my interest going. I mean, Craig, you're about the same way. We're always, kind of striving for some kind of a goal in the hobby, just for ourselves to kind of just enjoy what we do and add to it.
Yeah.
The drones, we would have never been involved with drones or anything like that, or and I still got to get out there with mine. It's been so hot. That's what's kind of held me up a little bit. But, Patreon, we're just hoping, kind of get things going and be able to do this and help others out too. Because this hobby is,
I would have never done, Instagram and all this other stuff, if it wasn't for metal detecting. Because, I like showing, that's what's so good about Instagram is you can show all your finds and different things like that on there and see everybody else's, that what people, it's funny, Instagram, you can do weather reports. People always give weather reports of what's happening, at that minute where they live. So you can kind of figure out what's going around the country as far as the weather sometimes even. But it's just it's kind of a different kind of a social network,
right.
There's not a whole lot of drama and stuff on it,
everything
can be on Facebook.
One thing that always got me, and what Craig and I've run into in the past, everything, we like the metal detecting, we like going places and hunting and all this stuff, but it all costs money. And it's, it's like, the travel expenses and the hotel rooms and the, just the food and everything else. You got to, to go on these hunts and stuff. And obviously we all like to do it because we manage to get the money together and go to it and we have a blast. And then you find yourself wanting to go back and wanting to, go to another hunt somewhere. And, that was just one of the goals, personal goals for me with Patreon is to, why not go and do this stuff, video it, live stream it, whatever, for the guys that, that we can't afford to go ourselves, but I'd rather watch it through somebody else's eyes or whatever, so to speak, through the radio, through, videos and stuff like that, live it through them if I can't do it myself, and at least then I get an idea of the adventure they're on, and I can kind of live it with them. And that's what, my goals are with Patreon, to be able to get the right equipment to, maybe be able to hire and some of our later goals, if you look at that Patreon page, we're actually talking about bringing a film student in. And, a lot of times if they're into film and in college, they have to do projects and stuff like that. Well, they're learning. You're not paying, professional prices, so to speak, but it's something they need to help them out with their schooling. It helps us out because, hey, we're getting footage, we're getting, on these hunts when we go visit somebody or they come down here and visit us or whatever. It was just an idea that I had, and, Craig thought it was a good idea too, to involve others, to help them out, maybe not and not cost. Unfortunately, the money's there. It has to be there in order to do it, but it doesn't have to be about the money. So we figured, film student or whatever may want to do that to get his credits, and it helps him out, helps us out. So, but it takes money to do it. So it just kind of like it's cutting out the middleman. I mean, if we can help somebody out, we will, no problem at all. I mean, we're really, like I told Craig, I said we have fun doing the show, and when it stops being fun, we won't do it anymore. But it's been fun for 4 years. I don't see it changing because we changed our aspect of what we want to do on the show. We like to keep it unscripted, just raw. When we start scripting stuff, it just...
I actually think it's more fun now after we monetized and stuff because we're getting more views.
Good comments and everything too.
It isn't about the money or anything.
No, but we're not making any money. So
we're hoping to we're getting closer to paying for the show. Each month, you have to pay.
Oh yeah, the monetization
money.
part, yeah.
So we're getting closer on that as far as paying off the show each month. That was like the first goal, but we want to do other things. And who knows where it's going to lead. I mean, I like reviewing products and stuff like that, and it's like this. It's like this shaft, has created a lot of interest with people, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been getting, people that were asking me different questions and stuff, and it was funny. I got one guy. The first comment I got on the video was a guy on one of the Equinox forums or Facebook pages said, "Oh, that's all we need is this, telescoping handle where the wires start pulling and it'll break the wires after repeated bending, and then the coil, it'll pull out of the coil and all this stuff."
What is he talking about? Oh, God.
So I said, if you listen to, the little straps, it's not going to cause a problem, And then the guy that invented it commented right after me that Craig was right.
Mm-hmm.
And,
It seems to me it was common sense anyways. You loosen the straps up. I mean, you don't...
But some people, then there was another comment last night where a guy commented and said, do they make that telescoping shaft for any good machines?
No.
I just put laugh out loud on there. I thought that was funny. Instead of getting upset, I don't really care what the guy thinks, but, you always have somebody, saying something. And there was one other comment, there's a guy from overseas, I think in Africa, and he said, he's from Monaco, I think, or Morocco.
Morocco, probably.
He said, he asked me how much it is, and I told him this was on eBay, and then he said, would you send me that shaft? I want it, but I would have to send you money after I get it. And, is that okay? And I just put on there, laugh out loud.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. And then the guy said,
I'll pay you next.
Forget it.
I'll pay you on the second Tuesday for a hamburger today. Sounds like.
Yeah.
God. Well, too, we review, we get a chance to review products. That's something I want to, if I get, I'm going to be doing some stuff for a company already, but I don't know when that's going to happen. But I want to do videos on that, because if it's a newer product, I mean, you guys might want to know about it. Why not put that on Patreon for my supporters? They can see it and everything. And then, after a few days, I think I can make it public on YouTube or Facebook or whatever. But it's given our friends, so to speak, first shot at looking at it and stuff. But it also, Craig, I want to take this into a different realm with people that are in the hobby already, and other detectorists, other relic hunters and stuff like that maybe have a product that they can't advertise. I mean, it costs so doggone much to, even Facebook, if you were to boost a post, it's like $5 a day. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're, $150 a month for something, you don't really have the money to do it with. And, it's not a sure thing either. At least you have an audience, so to speak, to, you guys are listening, whatever. If it's somebody that's selling a particular kind of shovel or something they did, an add-on or an extra for one of the metal detectors, they're more apt to have somebody listening to the show that owns one of those metal detectors that wouldn't mind having it, or might need that kind of a shovel for the situation they're in. So it's kind of like an audience that's I'm picking and choosing better quality monetization commercials or whatever, even though we're not going through the Spreaker app and all this other stuff. It's more centralized for what we do. Commercials like that. I don't mind those kind of monetization commercials. I don't think you guys do either, because it deals directly with our hobby, directly with what we do. Of course we don't, I like Craig, we know a lot of dealers, the guys that, they're metal detectorists themselves. They sell metal detectors on the side, used ones, new ones, whatever. And they're just regular, guys and gals just, trying to make a few extra bucks for the hobby so they can enjoy, whatever, maybe make a living out of it if they can. But Craig and I have seen so many people get burned out because they're not, they may be selling brand new metal detectors and they're only making $20 commission when they do it. And it's a lot of work, $20 or $30 for a machine. And they put themselves, and Craig and I have been there. You work really hard. You really, trying to do your best job you can, and then you're really not making anything. And it's kind of a disheartening. You want to, if you're doing a good job, you want to be compensated for it a little bit. But I've seen many guys get burned out and stop doing it, and it stops making it fun for them. So we want to continue having fun. That's my thing. If I can't have fun doing something, by golly, I'm not doing it anymore. It's not with a hobby. Hobby's supposed to be, good. So we're trying to do this. It's kind of like a work in progress. It's going to kind of expand out as we have more ideas and be able to put them on that Patreon page for our supporters, what they get on that tier system. And then as we meet our goals, we can start doing this, and getting more people involved and, expense paid and stuff like that, because we know it comes, unfortunately it comes down to money, Craig, every time. And, to buy new equipment, to buy, just whatever, the gifts and everything else. And we're going to post stuff too. We have these grab bags and hardcore metal detecting swag and stuff like that my daughter's getting some stuff squared away on right now, so that we can start having that. But, she said, are you going to ship this around the world? I said, if it's possible, yeah. Because we got listeners all over the world, Japan and New Zealand, Australia, all over the place. I don't know what it costs to mail stuff. I mean, we have we're going to have quarterly raffles and everything else. So it just, Craig and I are going to do whatever the heck we can to make it happen. But ultimately, it was just to put more information out there, more content for the shows. Give some people a shot to do a show if they want to, where they don't have to go through all the junk that Craig and I have had to go through as far as figuring it out, getting all these systems going and everything else. Be able to have somebody do their own show that always wanted to try to do a show. Who knows what the content's going to be. That Craig, it might be awesome. It may not, but we got to try it just to see how it goes. So we thought this would be a good format to make that happen for him. And, we'll just have to see how it goes, Craig. I'm ready for the ride.
Well, it's like, talk about this shaft I got.
Mm-hmm.
I've been looking at, I saw the one by Anderson that came out, and it looked really good. And I saw a demonstration by this guy calls himself Square Nails Squirrel, and he's got an Equinox, and he's got the Anderson shaft on it. This was about a month ago, I guess. So I thought, man, that looks good, and he said it's a lot lighter, and so then I saw there was a couple more that came out. One of them was, slightly telescoping, but it only telescoped about maybe 6 inches. And so I thought, yeah, it looks pretty good, but if it's only like 6 inches, if I get one, I might get the Anderson. And then I saw this Telenox, and so I was actually saw a live stream where the guy was unboxing it, a guy named Emmerich, and I was on the live stream, and I asked him how much does this take the weight off, and he actually measured it. They brought in a scale and found out it was 4 ounces. And he actually was kind of pleased that he got a question like that, because he didn't even know himself. He thought that was pretty interesting. And he demonstrated the whole thing, how to put it, set it up, and everything. And then, like, sometimes when the cam locks, they'll slip a little bit, so there's these screws, but you got to be careful and not over tighten them. Just tighten them just a little bit and then test it. And that happened with me. One of the bottom one was a little loose. It was okay the first day, but then it got a little bit loose, and I just tweaked it a little bit, and it's fine. But he did like a product review on a live stream, and put the machine together and showed it, and swung it, showed how there was no wobble or anything. And there's a lot of attention to detail to this particular one. They actually put a groove underneath the shaft, so they actually made a piece that went under, that hooked to the control box, and it went on this. And you could, once you hooked it on, you could slide it up and down, and then figure out where you wanted it, and then tighten it. And then same thing. It's got 2 different cam locks on the shaft, so you could shorten it, and it goes really short, like 21 inches, 23 inches, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
All folded up. So I figured, what the heck, that's pretty cool, and even if I don't use the telescoping part as much, it's still a fiberglass shaft. I mean, a carbon fiber shaft is a lot lighter.
Right.
So, but I've had it out 2 days now, and it's just a lot lighter, and it's still balanced, the way it's when you're swinging, but that's kind of nice.
Yeah, I just got a couple things on here on chat, and Gavin McGregor put on here, Derek, I received a coffee cup from the U.S. and the postage here was $56. But he's in Australia.
Oh my God.
I'm like, oh, geez, I didn't think it was good. But hey, you know what? It's as we meet our goals. I mean, if we're getting $250 a month and somebody wins a quarterly prize like that, oh, well, bite the bullet and do it, because, but we're not trying to make a killing on all this. We just, obviously, we want enough to be able to do what our goals are, for our supporters and stuff like that. And as the money go up, I think we put on there, I think I got a $7,000 goal. And when they get, something to the effect is when they get me out of the hospital from the massive heart attack I have, for that we reach that goal, and it just made it kind of funny. But this is what we'll do. We'll try to, things will just get better and better and better, and we'll be able to do more. But, it has to be paid for somehow. And, it's just, Craig and I we're not rich or nothing like that. We're just regular guys. So, we go on these hunts and stuff, and I think that's why we talk about it on the show too. You go to, if I'm in Florida, so I gotta, travel up to I went to the Ohio hunt. You can get a hotel room. You want to get there a day or two early to hunt with your friends and stuff like that. We hunted with Bill Marsh and everything. And, several of us made our way up there from Florida. But by the time you get to hotel rooms, the food, the entry fee, if there is one, and, whatever, it's like $1,000 bill. I mean, it's $1,000. I just don't have it laying around. This would help me be able to do that, but I can give something back too. Craig can. We get to live a little bit of our dreams and be able to, video it and all this other stuff for the people that can't go on it. So that's the way I looked at it anyways. These guys that do this, I mean, I remember hearing Casey and Ringy just come to mind. Loy had him on his show, Relics Radio, and I think it was them or All Metal Mode. I can't remember. But anyways, they were doing an interview with them, and they travel around the world. I mean, they have a following everywhere, and that's what they do. But they said it could turn into work really easy, is what I gathered from their show, where they find the stuff. They're not planting anything. They'll stay out there until they find something good that they can post, that they can, or make a video about. And it's a lot of dedication and stuff like that. But in that aspect, it's become, to me, it would become a lot of work, because after a while, man, you want to go home. You're on the road that much.
I know, a lot about, I've talked to a lot of these guys over that are into this, and, it's kind of a cutthroat thing, They're under pressure, and, there's a lot of haters too that, well, I don't know about a lot, but there's a lot of people that are jealous of these people, and
right.
I don't think they know what kind of work these guys have to go through,
it can be hell. I mean, as near as I could tell, Craig, it seems like it's a mental thing. It really could mess with you, and I didn't want to be involved with that.
Yeah, there was I think it was the two of the guys that you were talking about. I think in 2 days they hunted 30 hours in 2 days.
Yeah, they're dedicated, damn dedicated. That's for sure.
Because the first day was a total bust or something, And,
mm-hmm.
There's been. I've heard, also that, some of these things, they're planning stuff, not those guys, but I've heard that.
Oh yeah.
I've heard from people that turned them down and said they wouldn't do it, and
they wouldn't sacrifice their credibility, and I don't blame them a bit.
Yeah.
I'd tell them to go pound salt if they told me that. I mean, plant stuff. I mean, that's not what it's all about. It's not about what they try to make it, the people that don't understand metal detecting, that are looking at it as a reality show kind of thing, they're planning stuff because they want you to find something cool to keep ratings
But
up.
at the same time,
You know.
TV isn't really real. It's
Right.
like, even the news isn't always real. It's like they sensationalize stuff. They over dramatize everything. They make it into an adventure when it really isn't sometimes.
Right.
And you know how metal detecting is. It's a lot of swinging, and it isn't one after another hits where you're getting something good. You got to grind. It's a grind sometimes.
It's a reality show in itself, Craig. I mean, if you do
and you do have days, that I have that
don't find
I couldn't
a
believe. I've dug three reals in a row, and
Mm-hmm.
I've dug several times. I dug three in one day. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. But those had this has been 34 years, and I haven't had a day like that probably over 10 years.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. But I can't complain because 5 or 6 years ago I found that at Cobb, and I found 2 other cut reals on that site.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just
chasing dreams, man. I mean, it's the adventure, the quest, whatever you want to call it. I mean, for me, getting a chance, just like say Brandon Stewart up there in New Hampshire, I get to go hunt with him up there in New Hampshire. Whatever we find, but it's about the camaraderie and meeting people too. I mean, Craig and I have met so many cool people in this hobby. And it's like, I want to go back and visit these, Bill Marsh in Ohio. I don't know what the hell we'll find. It don't really matter what we find. It's spending the time and sight reading and doing all this in a, I don't know, fun, educational, adventurous way. And, who knows, maybe you find something really cool and and it's legitimate. It's not planted. It's not, I don't want to, sacrifice my credibility for any of that. I know guys that have done this, and been in, on TV and everything else, and they wouldn't do it either. I mean, they like, nope, I'm not doing it. Find somebody else to do it. I know people have turned down stuff because of that reason. We didn't want to have a environment where, you have to sell your soul to the devil to be in this hobby. I mean, I know guys that have. I mean, the business side, I've always said, it can be a dark place, but it doesn't have to be a dark place, Craig. And that's why we were trying to do it a different way. And it's the only format we can kind of find to make it, work for us.
Stuff and everything is kind of bad karma. It comes
Yep.
back on you. And, I've been in this hobby a long time, and you have dry streaks where you don't find anything.
Oh, hell yeah.
And to me, when you finally find something after a dry streak, it's like bigger than anything. I mean,
it's a good feeling.
It's more exciting, because all of a sudden, you find something great, and it's been a long time, and it's just, wow, it's almost like the first time you found something, good in a way, because, but that's the way it is. And it a lot of times you find something good when it's totally unexpected,
Yeah.
It's like in my yard. I had no idea that I would find all this stuff. I was hoping that I'd find stuff in this yard, and I thought there was a hell of a good chance because right down the street, the headquarters have been gone back and forth 131 times in 4 years.
Right.
So I figured if the armies had been here back and forth like that, and all these skirmishes and battles and stuff everywhere, there's a good chance I'm right on Main Street. There's all these old houses all around my house. Mine's 1880. It's got this huge yard, and it turned out I think I found yesterday. I think it was the 29th or 30th button I found, and I think I've gotten 30 Civil War bullets out of the yard. But when I found that breastplate, like the first week or so, I couldn't believe it. I was like total shock. I was like, oh my God.
Yep.
And people said, well, how'd you know you're going to find all this stuff? I said, I didn't. I just gave myself a chance by going into an area. And I started talking. I've met, talked to a few people online that actually had done the same thing I've done. They didn't do it so much, the property itself, but just to move to an area where the relics were, like a county or, a particular area, Virginia or whatever. It's like there's this guy, he calls him Digger Dane on Stealth Diggers. And he lived in Vermont. He was always coming down digging with Charlie, and now he's moved to New Hampshire nearby, and he's getting permissions in that area. So they can all have more, because Charlie he goes out every day, digging, or exploring or finding new sites.
Yeah. He's living a dream. He's living a dream.
But I mean, it's a business.
Well, yeah,
hard work at the same time. But so he's got such slow internet; it's unbelievable. It's like his upload is like 0.5.
That's crazy.
And his download is 1.5. It's like dial-up. They've had all these experts over there trying to do stuff with triangulating with cell phones and everything to get a better signal, and it just can't.
You're kind of at the mercy. I'm out here in the sticks, really. They say we're in Bushnell, Florida, but we're actually 12 miles outside of town. And we get like 2 bars on our cell phones and stuff, but we're pretty lucky. We have a hard line through CenturyLink. It's almost like Comcast or whatever. It's hard lined, and it's always done pretty good for us, But it's, if you live out in, some of these areas, they use Dish and stuff. Oh my God, it's like you only have so many megabytes or whatever, gigabytes, whatever you're supposed to have to upload stuff and everything, and then they charge you extra, and you just got to be careful, man, because if you're uploading a video, that's a lot of information you're putting up, and you get to do it at a certain time of day, like midnight to 5, to save money or to save your bandwidth, whatever they call it. I don't know the technical terms for it, but it ends up costing you more because you're using more data, essentially. When we were on the road, we used a Wi-Fi hotspot through Sprint, and I could turn that on. I could do, I think, 4 or 5 shows on 5 gig of data or whatever, which wasn't too bad when I'm out in the sticks, and I had to have signal in order to do the show or, make a phone call or whatever. I mean, you see, you had to pay that. It was like $59 every time I uploaded time to it. But it was worth it to me to do it. I mean, at least then I could put a show out and I can call Craig and, get on the internet and all that stuff out in the middle of nowhere. So I think we used it over there in Horsham, Pennsylvania, because they didn't really have signal there. So
I got the, Xfinity, Comcast, and I can, they got hotspots everywhere. In fact, everybody's modem is a hotspot.
Right.
I know that. But,
Excuse me, sorry.
I had at one time my download speed was 250, and I kind of went down in price, because it was kind of costly, and I decided I didn't really need that, high, and I dropped down.
Right.
I think it's like 180 or 170 or something like that, which is lightning fast. But my upload is 20.
Right. Yeah, you have pretty good. You're higher than mine, but.
But if you're, at 10, it takes forever. It seems like, it takes almost 40 minutes on some of the videos. But this thing is like zips. You can see the lines moving, across instead of just kind of sitting there for a minute before it moves.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we just had something pop through. I don't know what that was about, but hopefully you guys didn't had a bunch of static all of a sudden. That was weird. But anyways, yeah, we're getting up here. Yeah, it came through my headset for some reason. Don't know if you all heard it. If you did, I'm sorry about that. Didn't touch nothing. Didn't push no mute button.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as this whole Patreon thing, it's involving a lot of stuff, and really my dream for it all is to be able to go and do this stuff, go visit people, go be able to travel. I love detecting outside of the country and stuff, but if I can do it in a way to bring other people in or let them live that dream a little bit too, and who knows what we dig up. You could change history. Any one of us could out there. You could dig something up that nobody's ever dug. Might be a lot older than what anybody thinks that the U.S. was, and you find something. You could change history when you think about it. everything we dig is little treasures because we never know what we're going to dig up. Yeah, so you're not going after
Well, if we get
What's that?
get rich off this, that we could buy historical properties, with hundreds of acres to hunt.
That'd be beautiful.
And then, as soon as we hammer
Dream
them,
big.
we can sell it and buy another one.
Yeah. Well, just being able to involve people because it's always funner. I mean, you can. I like metal detecting by myself. There's a time for that, but then there's other times, man. You get 4, 5, 6 guys together, guys, gals, whatever, and we go out detecting. I mean, we went up to the CWPPO the first time and met up with Bill Marsh, Ohio relic hunter. He was nice enough to have a spot, already pre-picked out, and I think it was me and Mark Hoover and Craig and Mike Miller and there's 2 or 3 guys that I didn't know. Rusty Fawcett was there and a few others, but we had a blast that day or so before the actual hunt, and we were outside of the county or whatever we had to be, but we made some good friends up there. You know what I mean? It was fun hanging out, and everybody found a little something anyways. And it wasn't about the finds; it was just actually hunting for it, and the camaraderie. Heck. And then we go to the hunt, and we met all kinds of other people, and, I think it was Dwight Collin was there from New Age Goonies, Brian Robinson. We had, Mark was at that one too. He does Adventures in History. Then Dave Edinger from Don't Tread on Me was there. I mean, we could put names to faces and stuff, and heck, we all love the hobby. But being able to do stuff and go places and everything, you got to have a starting point somewhere, and you have to keep it fun. If it's not fun, it's not worth doing. That's the way I look at it, Craig, because then it becomes work. And I've done that with many things in my life. I mean, I've been DJ and, karaoke and all that stuff. It became work. It was no fun anymore. And I stopped doing it. I got to keep it fun. I got to keep it real and, and be able to afford to do it and everything. But I don't like stuff where it just becomes work. I mean, I can get work anywhere. So I'll leave you with that thought. It got kind of deep. But yeah, check it out. We're on patreon.com/hardcore metal detecting. I think I put a link in the description or whatever on the show. Of course, our Facebook pages, Hardcore Metal Detecting. We have an Instagram, Hardcore Metal Detecting. And I think we're trying to make these things shorter, as far as like we have an email. I think it's an email, let me see here, hmdradio.mail.com or something like that. I have to put that one up there for you. It's a new one. We were trying to abbreviate this a lot more, just put HMD on there so you don't have to type all this stuff out, but unfortunately it wouldn't let us do it. Somebody else has taken up the letters or whatever in their whatever they do on Patreon and Facebook and everything. So we're kind of getting it moved in there a little bit to make it a little bit easier to get to the stuff. But yeah, check out Patreon, see if it's something you might want to be a supporter in. And it's going to be evolving. We're going to keep on adding stuff and everything. We're just trying to get everything started, understand how it works on our side so we can do more stuff for you guys out there. I guess I'll just leave it at that. We're on every Thursday and Saturday nights, 8 p.m., and we do Coffee with Craig and Derek. We'll be doing a show tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., so make sure the coffee's hot and strong. Right, Craig?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Catch you later. Keep digging, and God bless.